Thank you, Professor, for your presentation. Just a matter of clarification. Who is going to be owning the Dewey port?
Actually, the Port Authority of Myanmar has granted concession to a Thai company. The Thai company is called Ital Thai. It's a big construction Thai company. And the concession is 60 years.
How many?
60 years. 60, yes.
60.
Yes.
So it will be 100%.
It's going to be owned by Thai company
for 60
with the
years.
support of the Thai government.
In support of the Thai government?
Yes.
So practically meaning that the Thai government will own for the port for 60 years.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. We have now come to the end of the presentations, and the floor is open for your comments, questions, whatever you have to say. Please.
Thank you, Professor Upasanon, Kapungkap, for this very good presentation on Thai and the role Thailand has been playing. I was struck by 2 or 3 things that you showed a very good slide about how well connected Suvarnabhumi International Airport is, and it provides a hub not only for Thais but also for South Asians to travel abroad. You know, the TG401, I have been traveling that flight from the last 20 years. It's always TG401. Bangkok, Singapore, flies exactly at 7:40 p.m. If you see that flight, it's full of Nepalese and Bangladeshis. It's like a bus service that only caters to Bangladeshis and Nepalese, because the TG320 from Kathmandu lands at 6:15 Thai time and Bangladesh lands at 6:30. So that plane will wait for the 2 flights, fill it up and come to Singapore. So that's how efficiently it has been operating, and it's so easy for the South Asians, Bangladeshis, Sri Lankans, Nepalese traveling abroad. A lot of that has been taken over by Etihad and Emirates and Qatar Airways to America and European flights. But if you want to go to Australia, if you want to go to Japan, there is no other option but for Thai Airways, and that way we are really benefiting from the hub that Suvarnabhumi Airport is at the moment. But the problem here is that despite of all these tall talks on connectivity and issues, we are still not getting visa on arrival in Thailand. Now, this is really a concerning issue, because smaller South Asian countries are not, they are, of course, they are poor and, you know, very labor-intensive market, and a lot of our citizens go as laborers. But we are also providing tourists. A huge number of South Asian tourists go to Thailand, Malaysia, UAE, and none of them get visa on arrival, whether it is Bangladeshis, Nepalese, and I think you have provided that to Bhutan, for I don't know what reason. But the Nepalese do not get visa on arrival in Thailand or in Malaysia. Malaysia, I can understand, because the Nepalese go there to work, they overstay, there are a lot of problems. It's a huge population, is already crossing 6 lakhs. So therefore, but Thailand should have been able to, because it's not a cheap place, because if you overstay in Bangkok, you still have to survive. So I think that Thailand could take the lead in terms of easy visa facility for the rest of the BIMSTEC countries. So any thoughts on that would be very useful. Thank you.
What I can say is that I totally agree with you, but the decision is on the government, and I have nothing to do with that. But I support your idea, and I think that the visa should be maybe exempt, or should be at least a visa on arrival. Yeah, thank you.
Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you. My question is also for Dr. Satapon. Dr. Satapon, I had one thought in my mind, and I was going through your very detailed presentation on connectivity. You didn't reflect on digital connectivity. And I'm wondering if you have anything to suggest in that, because I think digital connectivity at the end of the day will, in a sense, become the defining part of connectivity, you know, in all regional groupings. So if there's something that you'd like to share with that on your mind, because both India and Thailand, I think, have, along with Myanmar, walked on the trilateral highway, and digital connectivity should very naturally fit into the scheme of things, which can be of greater benefit to the rest of the BIMSTEC.
So, digital connectivity.
Yeah, basically cyber connectivity. And I had another question on a slightly different theme. You know, you're an expert on transport, logistics, and connectivity. Do you see the possibility of some countries from BIMSTEC coming together to utilize the geography by building large economic zones? Like there are investments from Bangladesh which have gone into special economic zones. Now India is looking to invest in Sri Lanka for special economic zones. There are investments which are coming into Myanmar for special economic zones. So do you see the possibility of one or two countries from among the BIMSTEC, maybe a country like Myanmar, working as a hub, a geographical hub, where the rest of the BIMSTEC members combine to create an exclusive economic zone?
Right. So please allow me to address the second question. I think India has a potential to invest and be part of the EEC project because the EEC is designed to upgrade the existing Eastern Seaboard to handle next generation industry, and that's also include digital technology, robotic, and artificial intelligence. So, and India has very good expertise in this area. So I think India would be the first country that I would think of if you talk about to be part of an economic zone in Thailand or in the region, and also not only in the EEC, but also in the Y project. As I said, that the Y is not only the development of the deep sea port, but it also include the development of the industrial estate behind the port as well. So this is maybe the two economic zone that India, with the expert in digitalization, to come and help boost up the projects. And for the first one, I'm not clear about the digital connectivity. Would you please give me an example of the digital connectivity, especially for cross country?
Look, what I have on my mind is, let's say basically there are many individual initiatives which have now come up in several of the BIMSTEC member countries. Bangladesh has actively used artificial intelligence in a large number of social solutions. India has been working on it. Thailand has been working to develop an electronic payment systems and market. What I mean to say is that, let's say if we look at customs, right? And if at least a few of the BIMSTEC countries can in the beginning to come together and create an integrated electronic customs clearance systems, for that what they require is probably a common server and then connection to the different agencies through a wired cable network, and they all have access to the underground deep water fiber optic cables. So what you actually need over here is the interface between the servers and the adaptability on part of the individual agencies. So do you see this as a possibility? Because I don't think this has come up for discussion, whereas when we look at other big connectivity initiatives that are happening, not just the Belt and Road, but even other similar, digital connectivity and cyber connectivity is at the forefront of all discussions.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not familiar with the digital connectivity, and I don't think that I'm the right person to address that question. But what I can say is that, again, it's about the EEC project. Alibaba has already declared to invest in the EEC. And Jack Ma has said that he's going to invest in digital platform, especially for the e-commerce logistics.
That
And-
must happen before he retires.
Yeah. Yes. So that's what I can say about the digital connectivity. Other than that, I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that area. Sorry.
One of the reasons that I think is that somehow in the BIMSTEC focus, this is not featured.
Yeah, I
It
think
should
that,
have-
that
It should
have
feature
featured prominently.
on the BIMSTEC agenda. Just like the renewable thing that we mentioned, where I'm also making a request to the Secretary General that he should take a note of the renewable issue for energy cooperation and take the issue of the cyber connectivity that exists amongst our countries. All we need to do, as the question that came to you, we need to create the right cyber architecture so that we can connect ourselves and maybe expand the bandwidth, which is again very possible and fairly cheap these days. So if we have to do trade facilitations, if we have to connect ourselves better people to people, we have to depend on cyber connectivity. There is no other alternative. There is no other substitute. And I strongly urge all members, especially the Secretary General, that this should be a study that should be undertaken.
You know,
If
what-
I
what-
could,
what-
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. What I can say is that Thailand is quite far behind in terms of digital connectivity, because now we still use 3G internet and just upgrade to 4G internet. So
I'll
I
just
think,
mention one
yeah.
thing before the
Yeah.
Secretary General picks it up. In terms of BRI, on which we are studying ourselves, there is now a digital Silk Route, a completely cyber highway for digital connection on the maritime and the land routes.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in fact, the two things that you have mentioned, one is the digital connectivity. In fact, BIMSTEC is still at an initial stage to establish physical transport connectivity. So digital connectivity was not addressed for a long time, but if you look at the declaration of 4th BIMSTEC Summit, there is a point it has decided to establish a working group to deal with information technology and communications related matters with a view to provide greater access, more affordable and high-speed internet and mobile communications to the people of the region. In this regard, there is another initiative. We welcome the offer of the Government of India to host the BIMSTEC Ministerial Conclave at the India Mobile Congress 2018, being held in New Delhi from 25 to 27 October, on the theme New Digital Horizons, Connect, Create, Innovate, and encourage all member states to participate in it. So that's the kind of beginning that we are trying to look at the digital connectivity. And on the question of generation of electricity, the summit declaration mentions recognize the high potentials of energy resources in the region, particularly renewable and clean energy resources, and agree to expedite our efforts to develop a comprehensive plan for energy cooperation by working closely with each other within the region, and decide to constitute an intergovernmental group of experts to enhance energy cooperation, including in hydropower and other sources of renewable energy. So we are going to have this intergovernmental group of experts to look at the possibility of power generation, in particular the renewable source, hydropower. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. There's another suggestion that I have for you. I don't know if you have already you're looking at it. Is there a possibility of linking some of your objectives to the SDG goals? Because all of us are part of the SDG frameworks, so it might help member countries to also link up many of your objectives and goals with the SDG goals. And the other suggestion that I have for you, this is a very young region with majority of the population in the youth category, below 30 years of age. So although you have 14-point agenda, which we are all saying too many of them, but can youth be brought into under any of the umbrella of the goals and the focuses that you have? Because that can really take the initiative forward and can sustain that?
Yes, that's a very good idea, and we'll carry this idea to the member states as to how we can engage the youth in the BIMSTEC process. We'll examine that. And if you think about the agenda for sustainable development, in fact, that has received, possibly for the first time, mention in the preamble of the fourth summit declaration, as well as in the body of the declaration. In the context of poverty alleviation, not really all the goals 17, no, in particular, it has come in the context of poverty alleviation, which says, reiterate our commitment to eradicate poverty in the Bay of Bengal region by 2030, in line with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And they also called for all other sectors to make efforts to contribute to the goal of poverty alleviation, which has been recognized as the overarching goal of BIMSTEC. But I think what you mentioned, the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030, no, I don't think that we have done a comprehensive analysis of that and how all of the sectors can fit into these goals. Bangladesh wanted to host a workshop on the subject, and we are waiting so that if Bangladesh holds this workshop on sustainable development goals and BIMSTEC, then I'm sure that there will be an opportunity to dovetail our objectives with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General. And next question, Asanga, please.
Thank you, General. On the SDGs, I would like to mention one point. Our Excellency, His President Maithripala Sirisena, he came up with the 2030 SDG document. I don't know whether you know about it. It was released about a month ago. And this will be Sri Lanka's commitment to the SDGs. And as you know, he declared the year to eradicate poverty also. So I think the Sri Lanka's role as the chair, and especially since President himself is a champion of the the Paris Accord, as well as the speaks on the SDGs. So I would like to ask from the Secretary General whether there is sort of, as the chair, whether we could do some sort of like sort of conference or something in Colombo maybe next year as the chair, that sort of proposal, because clearly the President's SDG, the 2030 plan, as well as his commitments are there. So whether we could bring all the regional partners to Colombo, and whether we could do some sort of discussion in Colombo. So.
Yes, in fact, we are aware of the Sri Lankan President's special focus and personal commitment to poverty alleviation. I was present during the third ministerial meeting on poverty alleviation last year in Colombo. And at that time, the President of Sri Lanka was very forthcoming in welcoming all the member states to send their delegation to see the Sri Lankan experience of poverty alleviation. So I think now that Sri Lanka is the chair of BIMSTEC, it will be very, very easy for hosting that kind of event. And during my next opportunity to visit Sri Lanka, I will raise the issue as you suggested. Thank you.
Next question. All right. I'll then raise a question to the Secretary General again. I know that all our countries in the BIMSTEC area are all in the front line of the climate change threats. We have serious issues of challenges from climate change. So what is your agenda for climate change sector?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In fact, We always see in the ministerial declaration and summit declaration that climate change is very important, and to save the life and livelihood of the people in the region, climate change should be addressed as a matter of great urgency. But in reality, I do not see much effort being made on the part of the member states. I'm sure that individual member states are taking measures individually, but under the framework of BIMSTEC, no such initiative has been taken. Bangladesh is the lead country for climate change, and Bangladesh wanted to hold a workshop in 2017 to develop a plan of action. So that has not happened yet. This time there was a decision in the summit declaration to have a plan of action on the subject, and we will be working closely with the government of Bangladesh so that Bangladesh hosts this the workshop that they have committed, and from there we'll see what else can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. And if there are no other questions, please allow me to thank our panelists for this session, for their wonderful presentations, and please join me in thanking them again. Thank you.
Thank you, General Muniruzzaman and distinguished speakers. I would now like to invite Dr. Nishchal Pandey to deliver the concluding remarks. Dr. Pandey, please.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'll not be long, and I'm not going to summarize the entire day's proceedings. But thank you so much to all the panelists and the audience for your patience and your indulgence in this whole day of workshop on BIMSTEC. I think the first takeaway home was that there hasn't been much knowledge and much news and dissemination about BIMSTEC, not only among the common men of South Asia, but also even among business persons, especially the private sector. There is not much attraction as regards to this organization, but after the 4th summit, we do see a lot of euphoria generated with this organization, and this is a good thing, because the more the knowledge and the more the dissemination of activities of BIMSTEC, there will be more interest on this organization. Another takeaway home that this was proposed by Ambassador Nanda in his presentation, that perhaps we could include BIMSTEC and its activities, or the overall activities of regional cooperation in South Asia and Southeast Asia, in school and college curriculums, so that knowledge and information about these organizations and about the positive features of regional cooperation can go to the young people. As General Muniruzzaman just said, we are a young region, and we have to go to the young people to get their feedback, their opinions also on regional organization. After all, the taxpayers' money is being spent on many of these initiatives. One of the things that I would like to mention to Harnek, and Sylvia also, Harnek is not here, that we are leaving the COSATT banner here in the ISAS. Because, not just because it is difficult to carry at home, but also because we are coming here again and again. So it's a superb facility being provided by the Institute of South Asian Studies, by your team here. And I was fortunate to be the first foreigner visiting fellow here in this institute way back in 2006, when the institute just very recently was at its nascent stage. And I look forward to going back to my office just next door. I left some old stuff in my drawer. No, but this is just... and then the room was taken over by distinguished scholars after me, Professor S.D. Muni and other professors who came and went out. So thank you very much to Dr. Palita also, who has been looking after research of ISAS. But we would like to do more collaborative activities with the Institute of South Asian Studies here in Singapore. I think you are very well placed here in this region, and trying to do research and study South Asia. I think this is a unique feature of Institute of South Asian Studies, based in Singapore, but doing research on South Asia, how the two regions can come together. COSATT would like to expand its activities here. This conference has really been a look east policy of COSATT. We are actually looking east and acting east. We would like to have more collaborative arrangements so that and also take benefit from the fact that Konrad Adenauer Stiftung's Political Dialogue Asia program is based in Singapore. And that way it is also very easy for us to communicate and connect with the institutes here. All the corridors, waterways, air flights, connectivity issues on the table and pushed at the bilateral level are coming to the regional level, and this is the good thing. All these issues are also being discussed, issues of counterterrorism, youth radicalization, climate change, all these are being discussed at the bilateral level between countries. But why the regional initiative is important is because then there will be a better synergy. And why BIMSTEC is so important is because of the presence of Myanmar and Thailand. And therefore, I'm really grateful to our distinguished speakers from Myanmar and Thailand to come here and give your views. Because the South Asian scenario is such that the 8 countries in SAARC, all of us come together and discuss among issues, the issues that are important and pertinent. But how you have dealt with the same issues in your region is going to give us the insight, the new noble thoughts on how we should also try to resolve the problems among ourselves. We do hope to bring out a publication from this exercise. I've spoken to Hernek, and both of us have agreed that if we have all the papers, then we have to agree on the format of the publication and then try to bring it out. I think this will be a contribution to BIMSTEC as well. And I think His Excellency the Secretary General will agree that more the publications and debates and discussion and free and frank discussion among experts of this region, I think is going to be beneficial to the BIMSTEC as a regional organization. Finally, I'd like to once again thank not only all of you, but also my team, Anishma and Ashiana, who have been very supportive and doing all these small nitty-gritty issues of paying your taxi fare and so forth. Thanks to the team of Institute of South Asian Studies, Sylvia in particular, and who has been very active with all these emails and coordination. I'll be failing in my duty if I do not thank Megha Sharma, who is, I tease her sometimes, the Joint Secretary North of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who looks after our chapters and our programs. I'd like to thank His Excellency the Secretary General and former Deputy Prime Minister Kamal Thafa for taking time out of your busy schedules back home to be here with us. And of course, COSATT member think tanks headed by 3 distinguished Director Generals, Mr. Sangha Abegunusekara, General Munir-Zaman, General AKM Abdul Rahman, and all the people that I've missed. But I will also like to put on record our sincere appreciation to Mr. Krishna Neshle, who travels a lot but is always available for COSATT. And that is what is going to be important for us in the months and years ahead as we plan and devise our programs, not only in South Asia, but also in Southeast Asia and Europe. But we'll keep you informed on future activities of COSATT and how perhaps your organizations and your institutions can collaborate in the days to come. So thank you very much, and over to the chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pandey. On behalf of ISAS, COSATT, and KAS, I thank you for your kind participation in today's workshop. As mentioned, we plan to publish the proceedings of today's event, so do look out for that. We look forward to seeing you at our future events. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.